Hey guys, welcome back to Come Within.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about some bad habits that a lot of teenagers struggle with,
And how to overcome them.
and we'll be talking about some of the habits that you guys sent out to us. And we also will be talking about other broad topics that we wanted to highlight in this episode. So stay tuned, and we really hope that you enjoy this episode.
Yes.
Okay, so starting off with our first bad habit, one of our viewers said that their bad habit was not speaking up for themselves. And I'm really glad that you came out and said that, because I think it is an important thing to talk about, especially because it's so normalized when you're in like a group setting, and it can only hinder your life moving forward, and it's important to talk about it. And I feel like the number one thing that causes that bad habit is the lack of self-confidence and having trust and love for yourself. But I don't want to blame anybody who has found themselves in a situation where they couldn't speak up for themselves. I just feel like a really good way to tackle that is to spend some more time with yourself and gain more confidence in yourself, because especially when you're in a situation where there's nobody else around, you want to make sure that at least yourself, you can defend yourself, because not everyone's going to be there for you, and it's only going to get worse in your future when you're alone and everything else.
Yeah, not speaking up for yourself is not considered a bad habit, but it's something that like so many people struggle with, because if something's going on in your life, or if someone just says something where like something that you don't like, or you just don't go with it.
Okay, so moving on to our first bad habit, a viewer came forward and said that one of their bad habits was not speaking up for themselves. And I think that's a pretty common thing that we struggle with. I think that I definitely have done that. I think especially in middle school. This is kind of like just a personal thing, but in middle school and like somewhere around elementary, I've always been a very short kid growing up, and my friends were always like a bit taller than me. And so I remember in elementary school, some of like my best friends, they were really nice girls, nothing wrong with them. It's just that they found it funny to take my things and kind of just make fun of me for being short. They're like, oh, she can't reach it, and all that stuff. And actually in elementary school, being short, at least like where I was, like in my school, like being short was considered being like, that was like them, like people calling you like, it was a very bad insult. Yeah. And it made me feel really insecure, and I couldn't even speak up for myself because they were my friends. But it's something that I didn't like. And that's why I think it's important, even if it's your best friends, set your boundaries. Because even now, like one big thing that I have, and Tonvi respects this for me, it's that I just don't like when people touch me a lot. And I feel like you can relate to that too. Like I don't really like when somebody is overly touchy with me, especially if I don't really know them that well and all that stuff. And I think it's important to set boundaries and speak up for yourself, because once I tell people like, hey, I don't like being called this, I don't like being touched like and hugged a lot, they're like, okay, I understand, and you can get past it and move along.
Standing up for yourself is not really like if anyone considers it a bad habit, but it's something that a lot of people struggle with, and you're not supposed to feel this way, because you're supposed to get your feelings and your statements out there so that people can actually respect you in the way you want to be respected. So if someone says that something you get offended of, or they point out your insecurities, you're supposed to stand up for it, because nobody deserves that much disrespect, and it can be in any place in any time in life. And some people are just so shy. Like shy means like they're just like, you're like, oh my gosh, if I say something that I don't like it, they're just gonna like come on me and like not do anything. But it's really like you're supposed to put people on their you're supposed to put
people in their place.
In their place, right? So you just have to make yourself feel better, and that's the only way you can do that is stand up for yourself. Not even telling people about it, but also creating a space where people will actually understand and respect when you stand up for yourself.
Yeah. And if you ever feel like you're in a situation where you might feel like standing up for yourself is kind of considered like embarrassing in your friendship, that's not a real friendship.
Yeah.
And that just goes into like
Yeah.
different topics. But the one thing I want to preface is that in the future, you're not going to have anybody else. So you want to make sure at least the least you could do for yourself is be there for yourself and stand up whenever you feel uncomfortable, because no human deserves to live in a spot and or be in a friendship or relationship where they feel like they can't speak up for themselves, because that's not a natural friendship at all.
Also, when you're growing up, like you go through so many stages in life, right? And some people, like, you might, like, in 7th grade to 8th grade, like, people be like, oh, you've changed so much, or you just, like, maybe up leveled and everything, and people can say really, like, meaningful stuff about those stuff. But, like, even, like, when you get a job, for example, like, a lot of, like, employees or people can just say so much, like, stuff, right? But, like, there's some areas in life where you just have to, like, get to make people know that you can't get all that disrespect, right? Yeah.
You have to make people understand and respect you in a way that you're just, not be just don't be disrespected.
Yeah.
Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Even if it's hard, especially for me, like I can relate to this habit, because at least when I was younger, I can relate fully, because I was a very, like, if I had to describe like Jigisha in elementary school, I was just a very, like, not timid, but I was just very, like, shy. Like, I was a very shy girl. If somebody made fun of me or did anything, I wouldn't do anything about it. I just have so many stories, honestly, from elementary school. I remember we were playing recess, and this boy just pushed me. I didn't even do anything about it. I feel like at a young age, I've always never really stuck up for myself. But I found that when I was growing up, I realized that I have to at this point.
Yeah.
Because nobody's there holding my hand. Nobody's going to say anything. And I really wish I could go back in time and tell that kid to not push me around.
Yeah. And you don't have to be scared of standing up for yourself, because maybe other people will think, oh, she's so arrogant, like she's so of herself, but really it isn't, because you're telling to people that you don't like this, and if they do it again, that's done. Like, they're supposed to know there's a difference between being arrogant or, like, being selfish about it and telling other people, but standing up for yourself is to show that it's to show people that you actually matter in life, and not just, like, you can't just throw around people, and your authenticity is all that matters. So just feel strong when you stand up for yourself, because it's really important, because you're surrounded with people 24/7, and they need to know your worth.
Yeah. But exactly. And if you ever want a way to kind of stop this bad habit, I think the number one thing I recommend is to, like, be more proactive when you see people, like, you hear people say stuff about you. Even if you don't respond, it's important to realize what they're saying is bad. And standing up for yourself doesn't always mean, like, verbally saying it. It could also just mean, like, leaving people, honestly. So just understand the true meaning of what people are doing to you, and if you realize that what they're doing to you is negative, then do whatever it takes to make sure that you're still being respected despite having people who are negative in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our next habit is going to be comparison. Now, comparison is a bad habit, like, this is a common bad habit that a lot of teenagers struggle with, and it could be anyone that still struggle with till this day, because comparing yourself is when you just feel insecure, and in many cases we can compare our life with the people who have it better than us, because if you don't have it and you see someone else have it, obviously you're going to compare yourself. But at the end of the day, it's important to recognize that your life is just, it's way your life is your life, and you know how to embrace it and love it. And when you compare yourself, you have such a negative mindset, because when I start comparing myself to other people, or like, oh yeah, this person went to a concert and I didn't, or like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty and I'm not. It's just like you get to the point where you start hating yourself, and it's such a bad trait, because one day I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, actually start loving myself, and then once I start comparing with people, it just ruins my entire day. So just it's a common bad trait, and it takes a lot of time to fix. When you just have to work on yourself in order to fix it.
And I have this like theory that a lot of people, when they don't have something, they always want the opposite of what they have, or most people want what they don't have.
Yeah.
For me, this is kind of like a shallow thing that I always wanted. I always wanted to have straight hair instead of curly hair. And I know a lot of straight hair girls would be like, I want to have curly hair instead. And I think that kind of like just shows how we all want things that we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you keep thinking like that, I think the main reason why I believe comparison is a very bad habit is not just because it's so frequent, but because I feel like it also makes you forget that you have so much in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more you compare, the more you forget that you're living your own life.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of tracking down what other people are doing, what they're wearing, how they look like, and how it's different from your life, live your own life.
Yeah.
Because your life is meant for you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why you have specific obstacles, specific positive aspects. There's so much like personalization with your life,
Mm-hmm.
so you can't compare it with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing. I think that instead of comparing your life with other people, live your life and just see how it goes, because it's meant to be different. It's not meant to be the same from other people. And I think it can be really damaging
Mm-hmm.
to wish for your life to be like others, because that's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's never gonna happen. And that doesn't mean your life is gonna be bad. It just means that even if your life is different, it can be positive.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to adapt to it, live your life, and
Yeah. So our third bad habit that some of y'all said is procrastination. Now, this is a really common bad habit. I'm pretty sure like 3 or 4 people said that their bad habit was procrastination. I mean, everyone struggles with procrastination, and there's some ways to fix it. I have tips to fix procrastination in like working style, but there's procrastination for how to build up your life, how to up level, or like how to just have procrastination is no productiveness is the opposite of procrastination, right? So my tip would be that, okay, so for example, I'm studying for the SAT. I procrastinate so much. I kid you not. I'm like, I say I study, but like it's like 30 minutes of studying and like 2 hours of just like scrolling and like just wait, how do you say it? Zoning out. Yeah. So right? So I got to know this tip, and I just started using it, and it actually really helped me. So basically you do whatever you have to do, like your tasks, for like 30 minutes straight, and then you have a 5-minute break, like listen to your favorite song, eat a snack, or just do whatever you want, even scroll on your phone, like that's what you want, right? And then you take another work block time, which is another 30 minutes, or you could go 45 minutes, and you just lock in, and then after that 30 minutes is done, and you just keep on doing it until you actually finish your task, because you're not like draining your brain while doing it, but you're also like doing the work you need to do, and also getting a small break after that. You can like be flexible and just switch it around however your schedule fits like. But I feel like when I was in school doing assignments and everything, I just hated doing some of the assignments. And procrastination also comes in a way, it's just laziness, or if the task is just very boring to you, you just don't want to do it, but you have to get it done. So that's just a way that helped me cope, finishing my assignments and all my other work.
Yeah, and I think another big reason why we have procrastination is because we want to avoid tasks that scare us or are too big for us. And that's something I struggle with like almost every day, especially if it's like mostly in my life, like I'll be having a pretty regular day, but whenever I try to enforce a productive day, it can be hard for me to step out of that shell and like lose procrastination. It's no matter what we say when it comes to procrastination, it's truly just a mental thing. And it's something you have to find by yourself. That's what I learned. Because even I tried to get out of the hole of procrastination, watch podcasts, watch videos of people advising me what to do for procrastination. But the big thing is that you're gonna have so many hard tasks, and it's gonna scare you so much that you just don't want to do it. You push it back. That's just something that we all go through.
It's just dedication. And it's just, you need to have, like, I just forgot the word, but it's like you just have to like get out of your comfort zone. That's what it is. Because everyone, like, for example, my mom struggles with procrastination a lot. She has to get her work done, her job, and everything, but she's been struggling with it a lot, and she multitasks. So she like leaves it to the last minute before her meeting and just finishes at that time, and it just cramps your like brain so much. So procrastinating, it's like leaving everything now and finishing it in the last minute, right? Because you don't want to do it at that point. But procrastination is mental, as you said. It's all about it's basically dedication. You have to be determined to do it, right? That's how you get your tasks done. And it's not only about tasks, it's literally about everything in life.
Okay, so now for something that I feel like personally is such a big bad habit. Although none of you guys came forward and said this is one of your big bad habits, I know that almost all of our followers probably struggle with this, and
even we do.
Even we do. And that is being judgmental and gossiping.
Ooh.
This is going to be very interesting to talk about. So
gossiping is just so disgusting to me, and I used to gossip so much. I kid you not. I lived off that with friendships. Like my friendships were basically, they built because of gossiping, and I just hate it. And I overcame gossiping. I don't gossip anymore. In fact, I speak facts. I mean facts means like, well, that sounds so bratty, but like I actually do not. I don't like gossiping anymore. It just drains my energy. I mean, what's the point of just talking about other people? Like they could go do their own life, right?
Yeah. And I want to first talk about gossiping, and then diving to being judgmental.
Yeah.
But for being gossiping, first of all, just in my personal case, I've been in friendships where, let me tell you one thing about friendships. If you have a friend and they're gossiping a lot to you about other people, they're gossiping about you too.
So everyone says this, but it's so true.
I've learned that the hard way, and honestly, even now, like, I don't have any remorse for this person who was saying stuff about me and other people who have said stuff about me, but it made me realize that who am I to sit here and be like, oh, I don't want other people talking bad about me, but I talk bad about other people. Hold yourself accountable. You know, we all know how it feels to find out when someone says something bad about us. Honestly, it just like breaks my heart. You know,
and to be honest, it always gets out in some way.
Yeah,
it's never gonna just stay between two
people.
Out. Yeah, it's literally always gonna come out no matter what. So just keep your mouth shut at this point.
And I think the number, even though gossiping, it's something that, being a human, I think it just comes natural to us, gossiping. But I think a good way to avoid it is change your circle and your friend circle. I think from last year to this year, the transition I had with gossiping a lot last year to this year has been a significant difference, solely because I changed the people I hung out with, and I think that it just makes me feel so much better. I think gossiping just makes you so negative, because you're putting negative things out to other people, and it just makes you a negative person.
And when you gossip, when you start gossiping about other people, that means you have nothing going on in your life, right? because when you're talking about other people, you're not even talking about yourself, right? That means it clearly means that you're just bored with your life and you have nothing to do. So what are you gonna do? Gossip with other people. And I've done that before, but it really just shows that you just want to you're just so invested in other people's life and energy, and you're not interested in yourself. I mean, yeah, that's what I felt like. I felt like I wasn't interested in fixing myself or doing anything except just talking about people, because that made somehow it made me feel better because I was talking crap about someone, and it just made me feel better that I'm not like that. And that's literally how toxic gossiping is. And that also comes to judgmenting and like judging other people. And
Yeah, I really like talking about the topic of judgment, because I feel like I've been judged before and I've judged other people before. And I think the main thing that makes you kind of remove that concept of always judging people, because when you're human, it's so natural. Like, being human, you have to judge things. Whenever you're in a situations, we judge if we're safe, if we're having fun. Right now, I'm judging the fact that I'm listening to Tanvi, not in a bad way, but I'm hearing what she says, I'm responding
and
back.
thinking about
That's also a form of judgment, not positive or negative, just a regular form of judgment. But I think being so, since we judge every single day, I think it's important to realize that even though we all have very different and differing lives, we all have the same experiences. We've also felt sad before, we've all felt mad before, and all of those things. So I think it's important to accept everybody, and once you realize that we're almost alike, all humans.
Even if you have the trigger to just judge people and say to their face, at least keep it in your head, bro. I mean, sorry, but at least just keep it in your head and just feel what you're feeling, because honestly, you should not get it out there. For example, I used to be a very judgy person, and I stopped being a judgy person because I realized that everyone is amazing in their own way, because not everyone is gonna be the most nicest person you're ever gonna meet, right? Everyone has negative traits and positive traits. So what's the point of judging, right? If one person over there, it's this person is selfish and this person is very caring, right? I mean, that's a bad example, but one trait of one person is negative and that exact same trait is positive on the other person, and you just start judging the negative person. I'm just trying to say that everyone is similar in their own way, but you just have to accept people, and that plays a big role in life.
Yeah. Okay, so our next habit that I wanted to talk about was main character syndrome. And I feel like it's something that we all struggle with because we're living our own life and we're the main character of it. But,
it's true.
Yeah. But I feel like it's important to realize that there's everybody is also living their own life.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to feel so self-centered and feel like whenever you have problems or something good happening to you, that everybody should be there for you and celebrate, when that's not the case, because everybody else is on different journeys and paths of their life. And I think that main character syndrome is definitely rooted in the fact that some people don't have empathetic or certain relationships. I feel like something that made me realize that my main character syndrome is pretty bad is when I started celebrating my friends' successes, and I was there for my friends and family more, because it made me realize that they were also there. That's how I personally overcame that, because I definitely had a problem with main character syndrome. I was definitely especially when I was younger. I feel like since we're so childish, we always want our parents. Growing up with a brother, I always wanted I always wanted something, right?
Yeah.
And I had to realize that I also should share with my brother and all those things. And when my parents taught me those things, I realized that there's I have to be there for my brother too, and he's living his own life, and that made me overcome.
I still don't share stuff with my sister.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, what I see as main character syndrome is being selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically being selfish, because if you think you are the main character in your life, every other person will think the same thing. So everyone in their mindset will be like, I'm like, obviously I'm the main character. I hope they think that. I mean, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure everyone thinks that, because if you think about it, and for example, like, if you're listening to a podcast and we're telling you to be like, okay, see, thinking yourself as the main character is a good thing, but sometimes it can be very negative too, because you're just being selfish about yourself. Main character syndrome means that you are acknowledging the people around you and knowing their feelings and respecting them, but at the same time, you know who you are, and you know that you are the only person in your world, basically, right? So, so it's a very bad habit that I feel like when you get to know your okay. So when you watch a lot of self-help podcasts, right? Or if you search a podcast like how to be confident or anything, and like you start like pouring down on yourself and like being in like up leveling yourself, what I realized when I started putting more work onto myself, I, without knowing, I started like full on judging people. They're like, oh, this person's not that confident, and I am.
Oh, actually,
No, like, okay, not like that intense, but like I used to think like that, just a little.
because you bettered yourself, and then
Yes,
you
yeah,
saw
and
in other
when you
people.
see other people just a little lower than yourself, you like
You can point it
you
out.
can put it out, right? It's very natural. I did not know I was doing that. And then, and not even like confident, I'm like, oh, like I actually got to do this, and it's literally so bratty. And I noticed that, and I was like, what am I doing? Because I used to be in that spot too, and that's just feeling like I was not respecting. I was just not putting. I was not understandable. When you, for example, when you are confident and when you know your worth, you don't put other people down. And unknowingly, I was kind of doing that. But don't worry, guys, I'm not doing that anymore. That also comes in main character syndrome, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like a good way to solve this problem is just like going outside and going to different events.
Mhm.
I think I just wanted to bring this up.
Stepping out of your comfort
Yeah,
zone.
but also like this is just oddly specific, but when I was younger and even now, like when I volunteer actually
Mhm.
and I connect with different communities,
Mhm.
it makes me realize that there's so much to like having humanitarian like aspects about your life,
Yeah.
and realizing that you're in a world with so many beautiful humans that have so many experiences.
So, our next bad habit is disrespecting your parents and still seeking for their support. Obviously, they're gonna give you support, but you have to acknowledge that it is so bad. Because it's like, okay, so we do this without even like, it doesn't even hit us that we're doing this, because I lash out, I ignore them, I roll my eyes, like I do so many things out of anger, and then like right when like we're done and like I have a 30-minute break and I'm just like thinking what happened, and like my parents are so mad, I regret it in the instant, and I go to my parents, I'm like, I'm sorry, and they're like, yeah, you always say sorry, but I do that all the time, and it's literally with every kid and a mom or dad. And it's just, and when life gets hard, that's when you start thinking about your parents, right? So we go right to them and like we ask for help and comfort, and obviously like they're gonna help you and everything, and because they love you. But I personally start feeling guilty. I'm like, bro, like they're giving me so much in life that I have ever asked for. I have everything that I need, and yet still when I get angry at them, I curse them in my head, and like I just lash out and like do like, from my family, rolling your eyes is such a big disrespect. My mom till this day hates it, and I still do it just to trigger her sometimes when I get mad. And I just, it's so bad because they're they're your parents, for God's sake. They're like at least like 30 years older, 20 years older than you, and you have no right, I have no right to do that to my parents, because they raised you, they gave birth to you, and those are just, I mean, yeah, but like it's true, and it's they sacrifice so much, guys. No matter how your parents are, they sacrificed a lot, right? And especially like at the end of the day, the people who love you, it's it just gets better when you just show them love too, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a common experience for us to lash out at our family members. I actually do this a lot, not just to my parents, but to my siblings as well.
Yeah, well,
And
siblings, they don't have a part in this.
yeah, but I think it's also a really big bad habit. I always try to control it, but I remember that when you're living in a family with somebody, it's so easy to see their vulnerabilities. Obviously, Tonbi has seen me get irritated sometimes,
Yeah.
but she's never seen me as mad as I was with my siblings
Yeah.
or sibling, not plural, and or my parents. And it's because you've lived with them for so long, you're comfortable showing that.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes you feel like it's okay to shout at them and yell at them.
Yeah,
We're just
yeah,
my
yeah.
mom and dad. It can feel like that, but you need to remember that it's also their first time living their life and raising their kids. And I think that when you do have so much anger inside of you, instead of lashing it out on your parents, figure out why you're so upset. Because
Yeah.
I'm telling you, your parents are not the reason why you're mad. It's because either you're not understanding them or you're having something going on.
Yeah, or sometimes I get mad because obviously when you have a twin, I have a twin, and when you have a twin, sometimes you feel like some things are unfair, and because like we're basically the same exact people except different people, like same exact personality, no, not personality, like same age, right? We so like sometimes I just feel like it's unfair, and every sibling feels like that, but that's sometimes when I lash out in front of my parents. And you know, those times I just get so mad that I don't even think, like my mind
We
doesn't-
forget that they're people
they're-
because we've
yeah.
lived with them for so
and
long.
they're way older than us, and we're supposed to respect them.
Yeah.
But I instantly regret it, but I'm too scared to say sorry. That's why, like, just know that whatever they're doing for you, if they say something and if they're putting you in your place, like, you have to know that they're doing everything in their benefits to help you, because that's what they are, and that's what they'll do no matter what. And I feel like they'll, no matter what you do, they'll always show that love, they'll always show that passion and to their child. But what your job is to do is just show them that you are so grateful for them, and to show them what they need, you know.
And I also think that a lot of kids my age, I hear some of my friends sometimes complaining about their parents. Sometimes I complain about my parents to them. But I think one thing that you have to realize is that your parents will have positive and negative traits, just like you. When you get mad and you shout at them, that's a negative trait, but they still choose to accept you for that, and still accept your apology, still be with you and care for you, because that's what family is.
Yes.
So even though you're comfortable yelling at your parent, because I know I don't have as much comfortability yelling at a grown adult than yelling at my parents.
Yeah.
But that's just such a bad excuse.
It's because you've basically lived with them for your entire life. And
yeah, but even with all of that, life together, it doesn't excuse disrespect.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they are still adults
Yeah.
who deserve to be respected. And it's hard, especially in our age. I feel like when you reach teenage years, you become so different from your parents. I think the relationship I have with my parents now from when I was younger changed completely.
Yeah, it's so different.
It's so different.
I never thought I could trust them, but like now I tell my mom everything. So like it's like
for sometimes the good and for the better. And obviously that just differs from person to person.
Yeah.
So I would say in a world where, especially in your teenage years, I feel like you feel like the world revolves around you. You want to hang out with your friends and you just want to have fun, but your parents are like, well, I don't want you to go out today. I would much rather you stay at home. It can feel honestly demanding, pressuring.
Yeah, it is.
But I think
they're doing the best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better to deal with it and stay calm, communicate, than just yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
And I've always found that works so much better. And I think that's when your parents also start trusting you, when they see that when they see that you also accept when they have certain restrictions on you.
Yeah.
And if you guys have like a relationship where you're like, okay, I'll listen to you. If you don't let me go out, I'm fine with that. But, I also would like you to give me more freedom.
Yeah. Once you just, they'll slowly start giving you freedom once you like grow older and everything. So even like, okay, see, when you're mad and you're in that rage, you're in that feeling, you're just gonna forget everything, right? You're just gonna go into, so like what I've seen that helped me a lot, because I get angry a lot, I get annoyed a lot, so I just stay quiet, and I just after the argument is over, I just come upstairs and start freaking breaking pencils or like do whatever I want when I'm angry, just calm myself down, or just eat food. That's literally what I do. So I feel like the one thing is you just have to relax. And to people who don't have a good relationship with their parents or anything, or if you just don't feel like you feel like a family, then find family and friends and people around you that you deeply care about, because it is so important for you to feel like that in life, because they are the people that make you keep going in life.
Yeah, family and friends are so important.
So important.
And even when you listen to us, thankfully we have a good relationship with our family.
Yeah.
And that's why we can sit here and accept our mistakes for talking back to our parents. But I've seen so many situations where I've seen just some not so great parents. And I think in those situations, I think once you reach our age, you can make that justification if your parents truly care about you and if they don't. I don't want to excuse parents who are not present for their child and just say that they still love you, because some things are just not acceptable of your parents.
Yeah, and to be honest, in my world, or from what I've seen and what my parents have told me, there's no parent that does not care about you.
Yeah.
Because they gave birth to you. And in a way, if you might think they don't care about you, it's because they probably have so much trauma going on. I mean, like, I'm thinking of myself, bro, if I had a kid, bro, I would be so mentally destroyed.
Yeah, you need to remember that.
To be honest, you should also, even if you don't have a good relationship with them, or if they actually don't care, okay? You don't accept it, but also just be okay and understandable at least.
Yeah, I feel like the best thing you can do whenever you're in a toxic relationship, when you're young, you can't get it out of your family.
Yeah.
Only once you start earning your own income, you can get out of it.
Yeah.
If you are in a situation like that, the best thing you can do, keep quiet and just work on yourself. Honestly.
Yeah. Okay, so our next bad habit is kind of an underrated one. It's trying to live like an adult. Now, you might be thinking, what do you mean trying to live like an adult, right? Because in your teenage years, you have so much pressure being like to figure out everything too soon. Like, it can lead to so much burnout, stress, and feeling disconnected from your actual like time and period of your life. And when you actually like see, being like an adult is basically calling yourself mature, right? Or like independent before, right? So people who are like mature and independent, that is amazing. You're supposed to be a well-minded, mature person, but that doesn't mean that you have to force yourself to act like an adult, you know, like for example, no names, but like this person in my school, very smart person, and
Very smart girl.
yeah, very smart person, and I, from the beginning, I thought she was just too mature. To be honest, I think she was just forcing everything on her, having so much pressure because you're missing out on so much, I'm telling you. Because right now, you're a teenager or a kid or any, like, you're just missing out the freedom, fun, and like the learning moments that come with being young, right? You're not gonna experience any of that when you're an adult because from 18 to how much ever long you live, that's being an adult. Before that, it's being a teenager and a child and a kid, and you just have to know that forcing yourself and thinking that, you know, like, oh my gosh, everything has to be figured out right now or my entire life is gonna go up, like upside down and everything. That's not true, because every age and time in your life is going to progressively change and make you grow.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't struggle with this problem. I found that I always like embracing my years. And anybody struggling with this, my biggest piece of advice would just be to let free. And
Take it slow.
even if you have a lot of responsibilities, you enrolled yourself in very difficult classes, you're maybe doing a lot of extracurriculars, that's completely fine. But it's important to spend time with friends, have those teenage experiences, because you're never gonna get them back ever again.
Yeah, you're not. And just, I mean, it's like there's also another way trying to be like an adult. It's like what do you call 'em? Like when
Growing
you're a
up
kid-
too fast.
Yeah, growing up too fast.
But not in a way that you're taking on so many responsibilities, but you're kind of romanticizing
Your
adulthood.
adulthood. Yeah.
When it actually
Yeah.
has what a lot of people think. I think a lot of people believe that once they're adults, their life gets better, they'll move out and all will be great and you'll finally be free. But honestly, I think you'll be even more trapped.
It takes so much responsibility because you don't have your parents anymore. Right? You have to handle everything that, you know, because all this time you have your parents doing everything for you. So right now you'll feel like, oh my gosh, if I'm an adult, I can be so free. I can drive myself anywhere and I could get whatever I want. But it takes a lot to get there. So when kids, because when I was a kid, I'm like, I want to be a teenager so badly.
Oh yeah.
Now I don't. Now I don't. Like, and now I'm
Now
just like,
we all
bro, I
wanna
want
be
to go
kids.
back to a baby.
Yeah.
So like, just this is why you just want to like hurry up and go and just not enjoy this time and just go up to the next stage. But really, you have to enjoy your time and your age, because that's just one time and it's never gonna come back and it's always gonna stay like that. So just be grateful and be present in life. Yeah.
Another bad habit that we picked out to talk about is passive aggressiveness. I think that everyone like unknowingly does this. Basically, if you don't know, passive aggressiveness is when you're being non-confrontational about the anger you have about something
Or the hatred.
Yeah. So like something like passive aggressive would be saying like, oh, you finally showed up, saying like comments like that, which honestly can sometimes hurt people's feelings.
Yeah, basically like you don't know how to express your feelings directly, so instead of saying like what's like saying being straight up honest and saying what's wrong, you slowly like drop hints and like give like silent treatments, and like you use like a lot of sarcasm, and like
Sarcasm.
in the sarcasm you use a little hate in that, and like just mix the little spices and everything. So that's what I think passive aggressiveness is, because it's very common. Everyone wants to avoid conflicts in life, right? Even with people, right? Nobody wants to talk about the problems that they're having because they just like where they are, but they wanted to point it out. So they point out in like the most slightest way, but it's so rude. I find it so rude.
It is pretty rude, and I feel like everyone has done it before. It's good to just let it out and just say it what's word for word,
Yeah.
because being passive aggressive takes more effort than just saying the truth.
Yeah, a lot of people, the reason they don't like to communicate their conflicts or problems with really in relationships or friendships or even with family is because they feel overwhelmed, and instead of stating the problem, or instead of solving anything, they just create more confusion and tension between the people, and honestly it ruins the relationship more than just stating it out and being honest with the person.
And I feel like this kind of is just like off topic, but like I've seen relationship with friends, and sometimes I even question if they're friends.
I know.
Because
Yeah.
and what I mean by this is, I think this is very prominent in girls. Maybe I don't really have experience with
Yeah.
guys, but I've noticed that some friends, like, sometimes I've seen friends who actually like hit each other, say actual rude things. Like, I've never, like, I don't think I've ever actually said anything rude to Tanvi. I would never actually ever say that, and I don't think she would either.
Rude means like okay, sometimes we got in a little harsh just because we actually care about each other, but like
But
not,
like we don't point out things about each other. We just have
we
conversation.
can't have conversations, discuss about it respectfully and like nicely, and it honestly it makes us stronger.
Yeah.
It doesn't like make us like have conflicts, right, in our friendship, and it's so much more. We've gotten so close over the years, and I think now we know how to actually communicate. Sometimes it does get hard, but we don't go rage on each other.
Yeah.
And like yesterday Jigisha showed me a TikTok
Yeah.
where like these group of girls were getting ready for prom, and this girl just got her hair done.
Yeah.
And they were gonna do a TikTok. They made the TikTok, and her friend, if she's a friend,
Yeah.
started like
Messing
up her hair like this and that, and like her entire hair got ruined and everything. And it's like, why would you do that to a friend?
Yeah, and I believe that's like so passive aggressive.
Yeah.
That's not even anybody who does anything.
That's
like
hatred.
Anybody who I know that we were talking in the beginning. We were talking about like very like regular passive aggressiveness, just comments. But if you're being passive aggressive with your with how you act physically, I feel like
that is insane. Like, I was shocked. I'm like, it's prom day and you're ruining your friend's hair. Like, I don't even like touching people's hair in the first place. So I'm like, I'm shocked, and it can come in mentally and physically, and I just feel like it creates so much more conflicts. And I never thought, first of all, I never even knew the definition of passive aggressiveness until when I actually researched about it and looked into it. And people do it unknowingly. You don't like someone, then say it right to their face. Okay, I'm not like straight to their face, but like tell them, hey, like I'm not in a good place right now. I don't think this friendship is gonna work. Like, I don't want to be friends, like that, or anything. Just be honest. And it's so hard to be honest. It's easy, but it's so hard at the same time. You don't want to be honest. You don't want to get offended. You just want to give like small manipulative hints and just start being a brat.
And I feel like it just shows that you're so insecure.
Yeah.
Instead of being truthful, you just want to put even more conflict. And I just hated seeing the video of the girl.
Yeah, you might be avoiding it, but you're not.
Yeah.
It actually gets it down to the conflict even more, and it's kind of abusive in a way.
Yeah,
by words,
it can be
like verbal abuse.
Yeah.
Like when verbal abuse is like, it's also one of the bad habits when you say such harsh things, like on the top of the harsh things that you can think of. And to be honest, let me tell you this, right? When you help people, when you're kind to people, you feel happy and you feel relieved at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, like, oh my gosh, like I actually helped this lady right now in the grocery store, or like I felt so kind today. Like, you feel happy that you helped someone and you made someone's day. But when you using like verbal abuse or passive aggressiveness, you're putting negative energy to people, right? And you talk such crap right to their face, and being rage angry, and like you just use so much verbal like hurting language, and it just does it. Okay, at the end of the day, does it make you feel better, any better? No, it doesn't. That's the answer right there. It's not going to make you feel any less or any better. So just at the end of the day, you just have to either say it out loud and be honest with it and not hurt anyone and step up for yourself, but you just have to be kind and respect, because you're not going to feel better. So what's the point of even doing it, hurting someone else, and yet you're also not benefiting anything from that problem?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't fix any sort of conflict.
Yes.
Even though we do it time to time, it's good to avoid it.
Yeah, it is. So our last and final bad habit today in this episode is not accepting your mistakes. This is such a bad habit because, for example, when you don't say sorry, or when you're just avoiding the blame, or if someone's just putting you in your place, it's avoiding growth. Like when you constantly defend your actions, or like shift your responsibility that you did something wrong, you stop yourself from seeing the truth and you stop acknowledging yourself. And that's where, like, you just have to be more self-aware in life. And when you don't accept your mistakes, that means you know that you're making the mistake, but you don't want to accept it because that ego in yourself. But it's really not, like, you're just trying to protect your pride, but over time it just
piles up on you.
It piles up on you, and like, people know when you make a mistake and you defend it. It's just you just don't have that much emotional stability. And because, like, growing is not perfection, and it happens through reflecting on your own mistakes and problems. And if you don't accept them, you're not gonna reach any level. You're not gonna progress from where you are in life right now. And you can, this simple as it is, you can say, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I won't do that again, right? Just say simply as it is. And that means, okay, when you don't say sorry, you're not brave enough, right? You're not brave enough. You don't know how to face yourself after that. You don't know how to face the other person. And the moment you can't take control of your future, right? So accepting your mistakes is such an important thing, because that's how you grow, and everyone has to progress in life. And when you accept your mistakes, the other person also starts to think that you're understanding, considerable, and just a better person.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people tend to not accept their mistakes because they feel like it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And they feel like it's just much better to not accept it rather than accepting it.
Yeah.
And now I've found myself I'm so much more open and saying like, oh yeah, that was my fault, instead of being like, no, I never did that. Because it takes so much energy out of yourself, not accepting your mistake, rather just being like, okay, I accept it, we're done, let's just leave it.
Yeah. And to be honest, when you don't accept your mistake, you start blaming on another person. You start blaming, you start playing the victim.
A lot of arguments too.
You start being the victim, having the victim mindset, and like you just keep on arguing about it, when you could just say, hey, I was sorry, this is my fault, and I will fix it. It's not that hard to do it. You just have to know that it's the best way.
Accepting your mistakes shows that you have strength.
Yeah.
And
you've progressed.
Yeah. So even if it's something that you're kind of ashamed of admitting, it's much easier to accept it and let it go.
Yeah.
Right after.
Okay, so this is our end of the 4th episode. We're so happy to be spending our time over the summer making episodes, and we'll continue to do more. Thank you so much for all the people that responded to us and told us your habits that you were facing. And I hope you guys learned something from it, because to be honest, we just want to discuss it, put it out there, and just knowing that everyone has these problems and everyone is going through this stuff, and there's a way to cure it and fix it.
And if you want more content like this where we interact with you guys and respond back, make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and watch. If you want to have a visual experience, you can watch this on Spotify and YouTube. But yeah, make sure to definitely follow us on Instagram. We are very active on there.
Yes.
And we do post polls and different forms that you guys can fill out, we can talk about. So yeah.
We post a lot of quotes too, like daily quotes, every Wednesday. So yeah.
Stay tuned for more Calm Within.
Yeah.
Stay calm within, guys.
Bye. We're like, oh my gosh, that was so good!
Yeah.